doop. I had a broken headset for a while, so some streams you don't hear me talking, and that is a lot of fun. Very glad we did that, but I'm glad we have this headset back now, and yeah, it's very cool. So I'm just playing a random game, if it'll work. And I'm just saying that because, oh, there we go. It's not freezing anymore. I hate this feature of Fortnite where it just makes you wait so long now. So now I'm just gonna sit here and basically have to do nothing. For 40 seconds because their game isn't popular. No, I think that is just a really bad concept and a really bad way of doing it, which is wait so you can fill it up. I mean, I get it for some things where it's like if you're playing like Bed Wars or something where you'd want to have other players. Something like this where it's just me trying to do something by myself. Other players being here don't affect my playing of it. Yeah, it's like my playing of this game will not be affected by other players being here, or or if they were here. So the lack thereof doesn't affect me, and them being here wouldn't affect me either. So that's kind of what I'm in, where it's like, oh. I also played a lot of Death Runs over last while, so I'm not sure if I've played this one or not before. So a lot of them look very similar to them. There's the same sort of layout. So I don't know if I've played this exact Death Run before. So yeah, there's no way to really know for certain if I have or not. So really what I'm trying to do here, while I'm looking around everywhere, so they said there's like Easter eggs and secret rooms available with this Death Run, which is, I guess, something to get you more coins then for each one you get free, for each one you find and do. So it's just makes you put more work into it and spend more time on it. So it's a very smart system of adding like Easter eggs and stuff like that into your game, like Death Runs and stuff. Then I'm gonna put more time into looking around it. And I think all this has been better made Death Run, and I'll be more interested in it because like, oh, this is such a different style than the other ones I've seen. Because there's so many on Fortnite, it's like, oh, this one's a different style to it. I did just die, but that's sad. We had a friend who said they were might join us. Yeah, we'll see if they want to break or not. Still call. So we're on a call here. Someone told me to call them when I'm going on. They did not answer at all. Which is a real shame. So yeah, I'm just pitching an idea to my friend John of something we could write and shoot in like one day. It's a very simple sketch kind of concept to it. It's a very like fun but simple sketch that only requires like 2 actors to be written and shot even in one day, and it's to be a fun thing to do. It's also quite timely, so timely-ish, but it'll be fun to shoot and do. So just did that. Try to get my older friends to see if they weren't coming on. They weren't, so it's just us, dear viewers. I don't know how I'm screwing up this easy jump here. We did it. We did it. We did it. So, what I've talked about many times in life and many times on everything is how bloody good Dora the Explorer movie was. Now, when I say how good it was, I don't mean like compared to other adaptations of stuff, or oh, it's just really good considering I thought it was going to be really bad. Exceeded my expectations. It was just like, oh, it's really good because it's based on a kid's thing, and it had no rights to be good, so it shouldn't have been good, but it actually was good. No, I don't mean any of that stuff. I mean legitimately, it was just a really good movie. For a really interesting plot going on, and a really interesting characters and motivations going through the whole thing. Like Dora had this kind of flat arc where she didn't change. Which I thought was really interesting how she didn't change but the world around her changes. So it is that Dora is this happy-go-lucky and upbeat person. And like she's reunited with her cousin Diego, who's completely changed who he is. And she's this remember where she like got to explore the jungle and all, and they got to like hang out with her family, and she has no fear basically. And it's just so upbeat and happy, and the world isn't this. The world around her isn't this. So you watch it, there's a really good flat arc character with her, and you see how like she adapts to all this, and she like brings these other kids on this adventure where they learn to grow and change. It doesn't spoil out every plot point it's doing, but it really does them all. It's very well done. It's one of those it's a happy feel good movie. Like the villains are really funny and stupid and over the top. You literally have Swiper in it, and Swiper is just the dumbest, but they also like talk and look like Swiper. And like Boots is in it, and Boots has like one scene where they talk, and it's just kind of funny. They have backpack references. It opens with Dora directly talking to the audience as well, in a very cool scene where she's talking like a GoPro, making like a vlog basically, and you see her like full on what you could call the purest way it would ever be adapted into live action that could ever be. I don't think that's even unfair to say that. Like there could and never would be a pure way to adapt an episode of Dora the Explorer than there is done in the opening of how the movie opens. Then later on, the characters are kind of like drugged out. Basically, they're drugged out, and not some spoilers, but then you see literally them all like as cartoons. It's a fun little cool little moment, showing like them for the cartoon style for a second. I think it's just really cool seeing. You can see literally the animation style it's in, and like you see like her cousin starts to like her more again, and starts to realize that she's good and she's trying to help. And then he's being a bit of a douche to her, and so then she's trying. For most of the film, it's just her trying, and him just ignoring this try. And by the end of it, he is putting effort back into it, which is really cool to see that going on. And at the end, like everyone was mocking Dora to start, and then at the end, she does a song, and because in school she gets bullied, and like throughout the full movie she's by herself, and at the end, the friends she went on the adventure with are very cliche. Obviously, this ending, but. As I like to say, cliches are cliches because they work, and there's no bad cliches. It's just how you handle stuff. So what ends is that all these friends stand up for her, and they all sing and do musical. They all sing together at the end, with Dora, and it's just a very nice full circle moment where Dora is getting picked. They're gonna pick on Dora again. This time she has friends who sing with her. It's a very cool musical number, and I think it's just Dora the Lost City of Gold is just a great movie that I watched just because I was like, it'll be awful, but it'll be a fun awful, and I was very, very happy to be super wrong and just have legitimately an amazing time. So I watched it 2 years ago, and I don't remember the film's name, but I can remember who the villain is, what they were doing. They're going for the jungle. I can remember like all these scenes and all, and the quicksand scene where they fell through it, but they all thought they were in danger. Her them displaying a candy bar and her keeping it all these years, and he was like, no, I must order mine the moment we arrived in this area. And it's like all these great moments that movie has going for it. There's all this good stuff. It has like a joke where it's like Boots talks for one scene, and it's like Danny Treasure's talking. So I think it's just, overall it's just a phenomenal movie. And I was really sad because it could have got a sequel. It could have been amazing. So it was Dora going to college, and I thought that would have been really, really good. But I don't think it performed that well, and it was never well received because obviously it's based on this kid's cartoon, and so people didn't give it the kind of respect it could have gotten, and didn't give it the chance they should have given it. So they went in automatically assuming what I also assumed it would have been. And yes, I wish that people watched it more, so we could have got a sequel. So they talk about like, oh, they would love to see a sequel and what they could have done for a sequel before. I'm just like, damn, that movie was so good. Don't get me wrong, the sequel could have been terrible, but I would love to see it, to at least try it for a sequel. Because there's a lot of movies where they should never make sequels for. Like Casablanca, for example, is one they should make sequels for, which they shouldn't. But there's a lot of movies where, like, for I just named Dora the Explorer, where Dora and Lost City of Gold, sorry, if you want to be the actual name of the film, where the sequel would still work for it and wouldn't change anything the movie does. So like, I always find it sad when something I really enjoyed that could work, a sequel could very well easily work for them, and it just isn't given one. Like Dora the Explorer feels like, in my opinion, the natural procession of what the next generation's Indiana Jones should have been. It's had a very Indiana Jones feel to it, but less cynical and less like this person's doing these adventures but they don't really want to. And it felt like the natural kind of, for me, it felt like a natural next point where it's this hero who is just loving what they're doing, having a blast and bringing these people along with them. I thought it was really, really well done, really well told. So yeah, like I thought that. So that's an example of a movie there, which I recently watched another movie called very recently called Don't Look Up, which was written in 2019, but it got made thanks after COVID got delayed, and it wasn't made with COVID in mind at all because COVID wasn't the thing in 2019. But like it is very much insanely like shows perfectly how like we handled COVID. Like some people don't believe it's true, and like people doubting it's like a thing, and like questioning how important it is for us to handle it. So at times Don't Look Up does feel quite too real, and like oh it's too accurate to the situation. But like it is really well told, just the satire of a meteor's gonna hit the Earth. People just people just don't believe them, and so it's them fighting to get people to actually admit the comet's coming. And that's you should really go in blind because the trailers do reveal something extra, which I wish they didn't. But they don't reveal all extra, but they reveal some stuff that I would have liked them not to reveal. But yeah, so I'm gonna say spoiler warning now for the big parts of the film I want to talk about. But when I'm done with this, when the spoiler's done, so I'm gonna say spoiler warning coming up. Not spoiling yet, but so I'm gonna start to spoil. I'm gonna start dancing, When I'm done spoiling, I'll no the BB-8 up. So BB-8 appears, spoiling starts. BB-8 next appears, spoiling's done. So the movie does this premise really well for them having to go around on TV and on the media. It's like proving it's real, first of all. So they're going around the media, and like they're going, sorry, not around the media, they're going to the president and showing the president this, and the president denies it and says no, or doing anything about it. So then they have to go on like a media tour of them showing off the meteor, and trying to prove it's real. That's the first part of the movie, is them just trying to prove it's real. And it's just that, and like you watch like that happen, and then the president finally believes it's real and all. Like you get the president believing it's real, but then so then they start doing the missile against it, and then the report where the movie really gets really interesting. Like it was a really good movie before this point, but the big turning point was that the media, they were trying to like destroy the comet with like a nuke basically, and it misses and fails. Is what I'll say. Like the whole thing misses and screws up and doesn't work. But then, so the whole point, yeah, the whole point misses and fails, doesn't work at all. And so then it gets to the point where it's like, oh, what's happened here? And then it reveals the big twist, which is really, it's whatever they want to talk about. Which is, the big twist is that, the main character's named this guy in terms of a phone network. And it's kind of tacky kind of guy. Think like Jeff Bezos, kind of like level of tech billionaire. Tells that as a big part of the president's like donor campaign, and he's out of the room during the missile going off. They like destroy the comet, and then the mission fails, and no one's sure why. And then it's revealed that they can make trillions of dollars from this comet, and so then it becomes a question of. Then you have the point where so yeah, they have that happening, and then you have the debate: is this comet actually a good thing? And so people are trying to argue the comet's a good thing, and then we can trust this billionaire over the scientists and trying to see if they will die. And so you have the main character starts to get really, his personality starts to feel, starts to just like decide, oh, straight, like maybe the meteor is a good thing. And so you see them losing all the principles they have. They're like cheating their like wife and all, and you see like everything that makes them who they are disappears. And so then you have this moral question of them like questioning who they are, going down this darker path and cheating on their wife, and starting to be on the president's side after the missile failed, and starts to get on the side of, oh no, this meteor is actually a good thing. And then you have the other main character start to give up, and because they don't believe there's anything they can do now. So you see them getting this sort of like depression, basically, kind of deal, which is really well handled and really well told. And so then you have them. I think it's really interesting is the question of what's more important, wealth or people's lives. So they take the risk for literally they put the entire Earth on risk because they could potentially make money off this meteor. Which is a really interesting moral philosophy they brought up, which isn't like a hard choice for. It feels like an insane thing humanity would do, which is, if this is profitable, what matters more, the profit or lives? And that's actually something we're going through in the real world today. Like that's something that is like big businesses actually seem to care more about wealth than actual people's lives. It's really interesting that movie looks into this really well. And like not to spoil anything what happens. Well, sorry, that you spoiler here. So then the idea is that then they like finally come on the guy realizes that everything that's happening is insane. And like the comet's not a good thing, and how does people think it is? And comes to their senses again, and I think that's a really interesting moment when they come back to their senses. Then they try and fight to get the meteor, fight to help get other countries to try and help, which they completely fail, and then so the movie gets to its climax is. Darn, not going on to that, it seems like. So you get the movie's big climax of the phone company and the US are trying their method of destroying the meat comet and saving the day. Like them trying to save the day, and that moment is... So that moment's happening while most people are rioting and losing their minds. They're trying to stay calm in the... like Oval Office's like panic room, basically is what they call it. That's what you call it. So they're all all the rest of the characters are just having a dinner and trying to pretend that nothing's happening, and they're all fine. And you see the plan fails and the Earth blows up. But like the rich people have actually, one of the things that early on was the conversation is like, how are the rich going to get out of this if something goes wrong? And then they're like, no, they're giving them more credit than they deserve. They don't know what they're doing, and then you see that they do have an exit plan where they escape the Earth, and they'll go on a rocket to find the next closest planet that's like Earth. And you see how greedy the president is. For the fact was when they get their lives potentially they could be saved, they abandon their son, and it kind of just forget about them, and are phoning up this gene scientist and telling them they can be saved. But then they then say, no, I'm going to stay with my family, finishing their redemption arc. And they then say at the end of it, you and your son have fun, and he's like, no, you just be with your son. Pretty much forgot her son, and it has a moment where she could go back for him. It doesn't reveal if she does or not. It is revealed she doesn't, and that's where you reveal the only person she actually cares about is herself, and not even her son. In that tragic moment, then you see them, the billionaires, go to the other planet, and you see a few of them are dying, and you see the president dies, and basically the final scene is you pretty much can tell that they're all screwed and they're all gonna die. And like the movie is like has a pretty bleak ending and a pretty bleak message. It is a comedy, but it has all these dark moments going on. And so it's a really, really well told and really fun movie that I think everyone should check out. And that's my kind of view on Don't Look Up. So I'm trying to currently write some stuff myself and do some more production stuff because I haven't made a script in a while. So yeah, I'm just currently trying to. So the next few days I'm gonna get work done again for the company I'm working at, and get that done. The next day or next 3 or 4 days, and then go back to writing some more stuff. I have a short which I tried to get in production like a few times. I'll try and get that going again in the new year. Write a script that I could film by myself completely. Is something I'm gonna try and do, which is like another one of those ones where it's one act. It's like I'm trying to get like really some. Basically, I keep trying to limit my scripts, like how much budget they need. So I keep like basically getting them smaller and smaller each time. It's like one of them is even in my house business requires 2 people to be free basically. So that one's really good. I want to like get that one shot for yet. So I could like test out some directing styles and just test out how I'm working with other people and all. And so it's a really good tester, and it's pretty dialogue heavy. Location light, so it's like one location, dialogue heavy, and it's really interesting, well told story, I think. There are ways to improve it, but I think the way it's written works for the story the way it is. There are changes I would make in a future version of it, but the way it's written is really well told. Tried to get it shot in like a wiki, but I didn't kill it, so enough people weren't free, so I'm gonna get a schedule. Schedule a day where people are free and shoot it. So that'll be a fun thing to try and do in the next little bit. Get that one going. I've got some scripts on the work right now. So yeah, next few days I got to do a little work because I took a few days off for Christmas there, and yeah, today yeah. So it's one of those tasks where it's not particularly a hard task. It's just one of those very time-consuming tasks. where it's not the hardest task in the world, but it just takes quite a while to do. So one of those things where it's just gonna be like, oh, I gotta get this done, and just sit down and do it. So yeah, it'll be a fun time to sit. Just don't have to sit down and just get that done. It's just one of those things where, like, the job I'm doing right now, I don't hate it. There's a lot to like about it. It has flexible working hours. It's only 25 hours to get to like work from home. Like, there's a lot this job does I really like about it, which is good. And it's just, but there are some tasks where it is basically just takes a lot of work to do it. But it's not just boring like work where it's not hard to do either, but just it's very time consuming, takes a while to do, so got one of those tasks I'll be doing next week. I know I want to do I want to try and get something written. So yeah, so I want to try and do something for Winnie the Pooh's entering public domain. I want to do something for that. So I had this idea for a sketch that I want to write with my friend John. I don't want to say what it is or anything, but it's. Shout out to my friend John. Yeah, but me and John are wanting to do something because I did an essay on it before, and I know John's also quite interested in the public domain. So I've done like a full like video essay on the public domain for my literal course. So it got me pretty good marks, and it's part of the reason why I got a 2-1 in my overall for my degree. So it's pretty good. Yeah. So I have like a massive interest into, and to look into why it exists and what it does and doesn't do well. And so like I'm really interested in public domain as a whole, and I know John's also interested in public domain. So we both are. I told John about it, and John was. I think I was the one to tell John, which I'm very happy. I got to do pretty fun by himself, but the point to put enter the public domain. So the idea is we want to do a little sketch or some small little thing just to celebrate this Winnie the Pooh enter the public domain thing. So I think it'd be a pretty fun time, just because I think it wouldn't take. It's like sort of like a still sketch thingy where it would be. I think it'd be like. Not sure how long it'd be currently, but it'd be like it would take us about like an hour, maybe an hour, 2 hours at most to write it. Could be shot and under like could be shot and literally. If we get the schedules lined up, it could also be shot on the same day we're writing it. But yeah, it's like one of those ideas where it's a very simple idea, but it's also one of those where it's also, I think, very funny to me and John. Got some comments on here, which I can't see on the stream, so I have to go onto my phone, ironically, to see these comments. But yes, I'm jumping onto the account now. Gonna jump in now and read these comments. Yes, what they're saying. Yeah, new year, new scripts. I think it'll be really fun to do. Yeah, no, me and John are both very excited for this. Both very big public domain fans, and both annoyed that stuff doesn't enter public domain as much as it should. Because, like, yeah, because we're both, like, into the idea of... I don't want to talk too much. Actually, it's great. This is my stream. If I want to talk about the public domain in detail more, I will. So the idea of the public domain, really, is that you have access to these characters. So basically anyone... Because I did an entire, this is the thing why I don't want to talk about it that much in depth, because I've did an entire video essay where I go in depth with the public domain, basically, and why it's good and why it should exist. So actually, no, I'm not going to go that in depth about it, because I have done it before. But yeah, it's really an interesting thing. That's the thing, I could definitely go into it, I always love to talk about it. But I also know that I have did an entire video essay just on this topic alone. It's one of those things where it's definitely going to be rehashing stuff I've talked about before. But basically, like, the idea of the public domain, in simple terms, because I'm going to talk about it probably a lot more tonight. In simple terms, the public domain basically means that, say me and John create these two characters who were filmmakers, right? And they were writing a short film. A little plug for a script we're writing, that is. So we created these two characters, and they're called Connor and Alex. Don't remember if that was exactly the character's name, so we'll say that it is for now. So, Connor and Alex. Oh yes, hello to the other viewers and John. I don't know who you are, but I appreciate you, and I am very happy you're here too. I'm talking to John more because I know John's here. If you want to be talking to you too, just comment. But yeah, so same. Oh, that actually is probably me. Check the comments. It could be actually. You might be right, John. That might be me. John, you cracked the case. The two viewers are me, the owner of the channel, and you. One of my content producers. He helps me with content all the time. So yes, it's me and my most frequent collaborator are the two viewers of this stream. Insane. Who would have guessed it? It'd be me and my most frequent collaborator. Shocking. Shocking turn of events. But yeah, say we create these two characters, Connor and Alex, and they're really cool characters, and everyone they're gonna be great characters, and they're really good. We haven't wrote the script yet, but we've planned it out, and we know who they are as characters. We know like what like intrigues them and what makes them tick, and what's good and what's bad. And yeah, John, I'm literally laughing at the stream, realizing that it's me. We were trying to figure out who it was, and it was me all along. But like the idea is that like so the idea is these two characters, they're both just strong characters. I don't want to say who they are or the character arcs, so I don't want to spoil our script or like give away like big plot details, because a lot of their character stuff is plot. So these two characters basically are just so entwined with the plot, to describe who they are gives away too much about the plot. But Connor and Alex are two wannabe filmmakers, is all I'll really say. And let's say this isn't spoilers, one's more about art and one's more about money. So these two characters are really good characters, and when we make them, it inspires other filmmakers and other people to be like, oh, these are great characters. But me and John like write about these characters quite a few times, and we like make a story from them and like make a movie out of them and have some spin-off books and a podcast about them. Me and John make bank off these characters, right? And we're making a lot of money off them, and this is like we're using these characters to make money, and this is feeding me and John basically, and this is our livelihoods are these characters. But then me and John die, okay? It seems unthinkable, but me and John both pass away in not at the same time, but we both pass away, right? We can no longer make money off these characters, and I know I speak for John. I don't know if I speak for John, but I think I may. I think John will probably agree with me, but I can't say for certain he does or not, because obviously I am not John. But for me at least, if me and John, I can't say me and John, but you know what? John will comment if he agrees with this. If I created a character, or he might be off the stream. Either way, I don't know what John thinks exactly, but I think he'll think the same way I think. Which is, if I created a character and it inspired, and I'm dead now, and it inspired you do you want to use this character that I created, and I'm dead? I don't want you to have to wait 70 years to use this character that I'm not using anymore myself. I think that you should be allowed to use them when I die. Like, I think that the person who creates them should be able to profit off them during their lifetime. And do whatever they want them for their lifetime. For what was 20 years, and that is a long time. I think 20 years is fine. But so I think it should either be 20 years, which I think is okay, acceptable amount of time, or to the death of the person. So I think death of the person's actually where I'd probably end up lining to where I think it should be. Because while 20 years is enough, like, to provide you with livelihood and all, I think the creator's life. So I think it should be after death. Like, my view on it should be after the person dies. Character should enter the public domain. John agrees with me. So we both think. So me and John both think that, like, after the person dies, when they're no longer making the character and using it, if it's going to inspire someone else, yeah, and also IP also, I hate to say this, IP sells so much better than non-IP, that if you have a character that you want to create that's fresh, it's harder to make it than if you had a character that already exists. That's why you get so many adaptations and remakes and sequels, because they sell easier. And even, there's no one in the world, no matter how much you say, oh, I don't like IP, you definitely like IP, and you definitely watch stuff easier when you know what it is. That's just a human thing. To want to, when you know what something is, you will go to it easier. So, but like, so when me and John die, any character we create, we give you permission to use and make money on anyone who's inspired by them. Because we're no longer using them. We're dead. We can't create any more of this character, and they might inspire a filmmaker who wants to use them. I think that's fine, and how it should be. But the public domain got screwed up by Disney wanting to keep Mickey Mouse in their greedy little hands for as long as they possibly can. So changed it to 70 years after the creator's death is when it'll enter the public domain. But that's not everything. That's only the opening stuff, basically. So that's only the earliest details of the character. Would enter the public domain. So if me and John create a... So me and John create this... create these geos, and they're great characters, and someone's inspired by these geo, and that they don't have an idea for a script of their own, but they read these characters like, oh, I'd love to, like, adapt these characters and make my own thing of them, and we're not alive anymore. Why the hell wouldn't we? Why would the hell shouldn't they be allowed to? Like, it's a good creative idea they have, and they want to use these characters to feel their own creativity. And it's like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. That's how it should be. But now we've gotten to the point where it's 7 years after death, but that's only the earliest details. Like, say, like, Winnie the Pooh comes to public domain, it's only the earliest. I don't know what's happening here. Earliest possible stuff with them. John is right. We're lucky we can still use Smicky Smouse, his goofy cousin. Actually, in 2024, Mickey Mouse is going to enter the public domain finally. But only Steamboat Mickey, so that's pretty fun. But, like, basically, it should be, like, after death. I don't think the day after someone dies you should start profiting off them, but, you know, it should be, like, after death, it should enter the public domain. And so, because they're no longer making profit off it, and obviously like, if me and John made a film, the profits should still go to people like who we knew, like our families or our friends, people like who we actually know and love. Should still get the profits from what we make, like our profits for stuff we still get profited for. Should go to people we love and know or charity. But like the concept of the stories and the characters to just enter a place where anyone can and use the characters for their own creativity. It's like but at this point, if Disney didn't keep screwing it over, we'd have like Mickey Mouse. All those characters, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, all these iconic and huge characters will be in the public domain. But what John and I also know is if Disney had their own way, Disney wouldn't be a company. Because so much of their biggest characters are like Snow White, Cinderella, Peter Pan and all. are from the are in the public domain. It's why they got to use them. Like, that's why they got to make these movies, because they were in the public domain. And so what they've done is they've had their treats. They've made their profit off these public domain stuff. And what they've done now is made it so others can't do what they've done, which is use these already told stories that people know and love, and use these concepts to make your own take on it. Make it your own. And they've stopped up new filmmakers from being able to do this. And that is pretty fucked up and pretty shitty of them, to stop others doing what they've already done themselves, which is take a story and breathe new life into it. And they're so fucking shitty that they've stopped other people doing what they done. If Disney existed before Disney, Disney would not be a fucking thing. Like, Disney would sue them fucking selves. Yes, John, the irony of them being created by public domain pictures and stories, they've been stopping it, is a fucking ironic piece of fucking shit joke. That if me and John were writing a fucking bullshit corporation who want to destroy all stories, we would literally me and John would have to spend, literally, I think me and John would struggle to find an eviler corporation for stopping creativity than fucking Disney. Like, me and John, in our wildest dreams, if we created like a story, if John came to me with a pitch for like a story about these people trying to stop creativity, I want to care about profit over creativity, and not caring about what other people get, as long as they can make money. And John pitched to me what Disney do, I would laugh at John and told him this is too unrealistic, John. This would never fucking work. If me or John literally pitched that to anyone else, like one of our shooters, they would just call this an unrealistic piece of shit, and tell us that we're not trying hard, and tell us to put more fucking work into it and make them more sympathetic and less unrealistic and grind them a little bit. But it's how Disney actually work. Like, if me and John tried to make that story today, right now, me and John wrote that, it wouldn't work, because no one would be believing that a corporation would be this evil against how their own roots were. Like, it is so unbelievable that if we made this movie, no one would believe us. Like, the movie wouldn't work because the villains wouldn't be relatable or understandable. Like, it'd be too over the top. It would have to be like even satire couldn't go that. Like, why satire works, I'm gonna get into a little bit, was why satire doesn't work. Like, take a movie like a superhero movie, or better day, Airplane. Airplane is taking the piss out of so many action movies and so much of like what came before it. But at the same time, it is telling its own story. And it's telling its own thing. Same with Scream, it's telling its own story, and it's completely over the top in how it does it. But at the same time, it is also a horror film, and stays grounded in its characters, while at the same time being a complete another spoof that is so over the top. It's hard. You can't take it seriously. But it's why it works, is because it walks that line. If me and John wanted to make a story about how people care more about profit than people. By the way, John, you should really watch a movie called Don't Look Up. It's really good. You'll love it. But if me and John wanted to make a movie about this corporation that cared more about profit than characters, and doesn't care what it does and what it doesn't do, doesn't care about other people, only cares about its own bottom line, and will stop you being created how they were created. Me and John wanted to make a movie about people like this. We could not use Disney or Disney-like practices. We'd have to tone down Disney to make this movie. Like, we have to take what Disney's done and tone it down. Because they're just so over the top as hell that it doesn't work. Yeah, John, you will love it. It's really good. It's like the best satire in years. And like, it's not about COVID at all, but it also is 100% kind of how COVID's working, and how like people anti-vaxxers sound, and like how people are hearing COVID. It's basically is about COVID before COVID was a thing, so it accidentally is COVID. It feels like a COVID movie that was not at all COVID movie, but it's really, really good, and you loved it. I loved it. It's really good. But yeah, so like there's because I've talked about the public domain so much, and I've researched so much. I am at times tempted to write like something about the public domain, like a movie, kind of based around like a Disney company, who've like got themselves up through like their bootstraps and used creativity and used the public domain for their advantage, and then as soon as they got in, they then broke the system so no one else could make money off this and no one else could work the way they worked. Like, there is a chance that I would write something like a short film or something, like some sort of project around this, but I would have to tone Disney down to make it even work. But also, you have an entire fucking trilogy, not even trilogy, 6-7 films based on evil shit Disney does as a company. Like, you could have 6 or 7 loosely connected films in a series about what Disney does that's fucked up and how they're stopping other people doing stuff. But in each of them you'd still have to tone it down because, you know, too over the top. Oh, John, if you're still here though, what I'm going to say next, because I'm doing a sermon and I can't write it down, but please write this down for me. Because this is something that I'd love to like write a little sketch about too. Or like maybe like have a basis of like it could actually go further, which is after they made the show Loki, they sued. Basically, Loki is a Norwegian god. Disney sus. John, that is perfect. That is what we're gonna make. We're gonna call our Winnie the Pooh. Before I go for it, we're gonna call her. I think we should call her Winnie the Pooh thing. Disney sus. Disney sus, the freeing the Pooh. No, releasing the Pooh, that's it. Disney sus, releasing the Pooh is what we should call that short. But the idea is basically, Norwegians are Norse gods. This is Norwegian basically culture and Norwegian mythology. Norwegian is Norse. Sorry, I got that wrong, everyone. But yeah, basically, so the idea is that they sued this kid whose name was Loki. Because in like Norway and all, that is a common thing. People to be named after like Norse gods. So this kid was called Loki, and he wasn't trying to make. That's just his name, and so he was sued for trying to graduate university using his own name in the graduation certificate. So he wasn't allowed to graduate with his own name. Like that is fucked up as hell. Disney sued this kid for using their own name. So this kid was banned from using their own fucking name. And then another time, this person was selling merch of their own face. Sorry, not merch of their own face. They made a YouTube video with their own face in it, and the whole video, I don't know what the video was about because it got taken down, but it's just their own face. And it got taken down because they said it was copyright infringement for Loki. So apparently the person looked too much like Loki, like Tom Hiddleston, and looked a bit too much like Loki, and so YouTube got copyright struck by Disney for their own fucking face looking too much like Tom Hiddleston Loki. So like that could be like a little, I love to like something about that as well, where it's called Loki sus, and so so that'd be a funny little sketch we could also like write and then shoot probably in the same batch. But like the idea is that like so yeah, like that is a fucked up thing where they like sued someone for having the name Loki. I got someone's videos taken down because they looked a bit like Loki. Like it wasn't they were doing a video where like they were playing Loki or anything like that. It was just the video was just them like flogging with their own fucking face. But also, John, well, speaking of fucked up things people do, I don't know if you've ever heard of this, John, but I'm gonna say it like you haven't, but you may have heard of it already. Do you know what? Do you know about Disney? Do you know about McDonald's Land? It was never gonna be a theme park, but have you heard of McDonald's Land as an advert campaign? I'm gonna pretend you're gonna say no because I'm gonna talk about it anyway. But oh no, you don't know it, John. Well, just for you, John, I'm gonna explain what it was. So basically, McDonald's for a while had a Imagine explaining that to your mum. I got sued, mum. Why? I used my own face and got copyright strike. Hey, mum, I can't graduate this year. Why? I need to pay to graduate. What do you mean? You did change my name, mum. Why? I don't like the name Loki. I love the name Loki, but I need to graduate university. And Disney's trying to sue me over my name, mum. But basically, what McDonald's Land is it was a TV show that insanely should not have been allowed to exist, because it was basically just marketing directly to children, McDonald's, and trying to make it a children thing. But basically, it was this TV show where it was Mickey Mouse in his magical land. No, not Mickey Mouse, shit. Disney's in my head. It was Ronald McDonald in his magical land. Where it was, so it was Ronald McDonald in his magical sort of I keep saying McDonald. I keep saying this one sentence because my brain's broken right now. 1 second, I'm going to let it reboot. So Ronald McDonald was in his magical land where it was just him going on these adventures with like these mythical like beasts, like unicorns and stuff like that. Just him going on this, like, it was just a really basic TV show. But this idea was actually pitched to them. Like, these characters, like, all the premise of the show was pitched to them by someone else. And, so they literally stole directly this smaller TV show. They took the idea from it, they took characters from it, they took looks from it. So everything the McDonald's, like, mascots had, everything they looked like, was stolen directly from this other TV show that was a lot smaller. And it was stolen directly from it. But this is the problem. They tried to sue McDonald's to stop their thing because it was obviously ripped off. But what McDonald's knew was they didn't have to win the court case. They just had to keep it in litigation for long enough that when they finally lost it, it would have been so well known by the public that it would be racked in their brains. So everyone would see like this TV show and the ad campaigns, and they'd get their marketing out that way. But they just tied up that other smaller thing so heavily and so long that when they finally lost the court case, because they did lose it, because they obviously couldn't win it. The public had already seen it, and they've already got the press and marketing they needed from it, and so they already made what they needed to do with it. So they sued them until they didn't need to anymore. Then they finally give up the court case, give them the money that they won in the court case. Nobody how much McDonald's profited, obviously. But then so then they lost the court case, but they delayed it so long. As long as they needed to make the money and get the press and marketing they needed to. Which is why you never see Ronald McDonald outside in adverts anymore. It's why he's always inside in adverts. He's no longer outside in magical places or even outside in general anymore. Because they lost the court case, they can't do it anymore. But they sued long enough that they got it on TV. The other thing everyone thinks the other thing ripped off them. So that's insane that happened. That they're rich enough. The company was rich enough that they could literally afford to keep a lawyer going for years, keep a court case going for years, so they could profit better off this thing that they stole. Like, that's how you know the legal system that we have in this world does not work. Is when a company can decide that it's in their best interest. Yeah. That's in their best interest is to sue the little guy and keep it going for as long as they can, because they can still use the idea that they stole at that point. But there's also like a lot of times where like like that's just one example. Another example is I don't know if you know Cracked. I'm talking to John directly, but it's one of those things where it's like I'm talking to John, but I'm also explaining it perfectly to everyone else. So I am saying John's name and talking to John. I'm really talking to you all through John. If this was a movie, John would be like a plot device that I'm using to tell my story. My story through. And John, I know John well enough to know John will not care that I'm using him as a plot device to tell stories on this stream. John will appreciate that. Because I know John is a filmmaker like me and understands a good when you use someone as a plot device and you use characters as plot devices, and John will be fine with that. But so John, have you ever watched Cracked? Oh, you've watched a little Cracked, you know Cracked well enough. You ever watched After Hours? You were a fan of After Hours, that pop culture movie show. Oh, John's honoured to be a plot device. You enjoyed After Hours. So you know Michael Swarm, Sort of, you sort of know him. Obviously, you know these just to make it clear to the audience that I'm not hoodwinking you. When I'm saying stuff, John is not commenting that fast. So John will comment about them after he can get to them. But by the time I'm already saying the next point, John will have commented, confirming what I'm saying, or not confirming it. But by that point, I've already started the point. So John is commenting, and he's commenting very nicely, and he is participating well with this stream. But he's also doing it in a pace a human being would do, while I'm pretending he's talking at a subhuman thing where he's commenting this millisecond I'm saying it. But so John, you're a fan of After Hours, yeah, as you're saying, you know it well. You're a fan. You thought Cracked was really good. Sad it closed down. Yeah, it got closed down because people, lied to them, like Facebook algorithms. Does indeed everything you say. Oh, great. John is so Michael Swarm and his friend Abe Johnson, who was usually behind the scenes in Cracked. They're all behind the scenes stuff. The Agent of Cracked, really good show. So he's just a good behind the scenes director guy. You wouldn't have seen his face as much, but they were hired by the studio to write a movie, right? And they just give them basic things that had to be in it, like Saturn or Tornado. He needs a friend, stuff like that. Basic plot points were given, like you need to do X, Y, and Z. Needs to have this. Needs to be set then. But nothing else is set in stone. You write it. Most of the ideas came from them. And so what happened was they wrote the script, and you can see they wrote it because they did streams where they would write the script on streams, where you literally seen their thought process and their writing process happen. So they wrote it live, basically, which is a weird way to write stuff, but they wrote it live and over many streams, which I'm going to set free and watch at some point, and be fair, I can't wait to watch just all the streams and see them reading the script and all. But so they wrote this live for YouTube, so they wrote it. And so the company who hired them to write it then hired different writers to rewrite it rewrite it enough that technically wasn't their script anymore, so they could make it cheaper. So they hired cheaper writers. They take the script that they've written and change just enough that legally they wouldn't win a court case, but also because they're a small geo, they couldn't afford to win this court case even if they were in one. So they'd have to spend years and so much money they didn't have to even just about try and get for the court case, that they would never be able to win it, really, and they would take so long in litigation and so much money they don't have, that they would pretty much need to win the court case to even equalise the profit they get, and even by then they might not even win, which is a thing that happens all the time. But that is insane that a company hired them to write a script. They wrote the script and then were like, screw it. If we get someone else to rewrite what they've written that we paid them for, if we get someone else to rewrite their script and change enough of it, we can do it for cheaper, and got away with it. It's really sad that some people you could be hired to write a script for a studio, and they just decide, screw it, someone else will be cheaper, and then just get someone else to do it. So the other big thing about writing is you're not paid until after the fact. Writing is one of the few jobs in the world, not one of the few, but one of the jobs in the world where you could spend months, years of your life doing this, and then it all gets pulled out of the rug, from under a rug of you, and a lot of time you wouldn't even get paid for it. It's really sad. But yeah, that happens. That one's really insane. The studio did that to them. So imagine that. Spend months of your life, hire to write a script for a studio, write the script, and they love the script, and they like it so much, they're gonna make it, and then then you find out that they've replaced you, because this is the brilliant part. They didn't tell them no or reject them. They just made the move. They just made the fucking movie, and they didn't find out that they did this without them, and they betrayed them like this until the trailers came out, and they could tell it was their movie because they saw all the similarities to the movie. They were the same studio that they were hired to write for, with all the plot points that they did in that movie, but ever slightly different. So you can tell there was no way in hell it was. Their argument would be that it has similar ideas to it, but it's not the same script. But really, you can know what it is because it seems to have the same idea, the same sort of production schedule time that they would have been in, with a lot of the same elements that they had. put into it just ever slightly different. So like you can tell that they stole it and they changed it just enough to get away with it, and like it's like fucked up that they could do that and they could win. Like it's really screwed up how big corporations can do stuff like this. Like we are in a system that does not work, that doesn't really work. But the problem is you can't really break the system because it's been designed in such a way unless you're rich, you can barely get out of your section in life. And the people who are in power, keep it in a way that it's very hard to get rid of, like how it works, and it's very hard like to break these systems even if you're in power, because basically how this is a little bit. I'm not sure, John. Or yeah, 1 second. It happens in uni level. Someone I knew wrote a script for module this year, but never got to make it because of COVID. The following year, a guy who was part of his production team gave it. Oh my goodness! So John just told me about a story of a friend of his. Well, I mean, somebody knew. We'll say they're friends because John's a very nice guy. John's very sociable. John has a lot of friends. John went to a better uni than I did. No shit to my uni. Fuck the uni I went to. People in it. Most of them are dickheads. But that's not the point of this story. But so John's friend wrote this script, and it was probably a good script. Thanks to COVID, they didn't get to make it. So then next year, someone saw the script, thought, "Fuck it, this is a good script. I'm just gonna pretend it's mine." Passed it off as their own, changed little details, made the short, and screwed over John's friend. And that I just learned about this now. That is insane, and I'm gonna take a second to process that. Someone at uni was like, "Oh, I like this script. I want to make this script." It's got the real writers couldn't get to make it because of COVID. Someone's like, "Oh fuck it, I'll just take that script and make it my own." It's a really fucked up thing that should never have happened, and I feel really bad for John's friend. But yeah, yeah. So John, I'm just talking about random stuff I'm interested in or not. I've been interested in recently. John, do you know how much it costs to make the penny? This is a problem, this one. I need John to actually answer, because I don't know how much generally, because I can't do it anymore, because I wouldn't be able to give an accurate answer, because I now know. But, John, how much do you think a penny would cost to make? To his girlfriend, who was doing the same module, and they stole his idea, made it, they even got to Fully Festival, and was up for an award. You didn't seem to do anything, because it was the uni that looked good. Oh my fucking goodness. John's told me more of the stories. I just read it out loud there. So I was seeing it. Holy fuck. So they literally made bank. The uni was like, fuck it, we look good here. We'll just pretend that nothing happened here. You turned a blind eye to it. Everyone involved in the stolen script got an award at a festival. Good for their careers. And this person's got so fucked over. Like, that is so fucked up. That it's like, oh yeah, the uni's ignoring it because it's... So yeah, we'll get on the penny thing later. John will comment that later. But yeah, we'll go look on the list, and I'll piggyback off that. Was an insane story, and you might be thinking, here, Jess, that's happened to one person in one uni. The uni cared more about looking good than it did about people. That would never happen to any other uni. Well, I hear you cry, John. Oh, Jess, I'm sure you have stories like this. Well, John, thank you for asking. I do have stories like this. So I can't legally say, I'm not going to legally say names or people because, you know, or say what college I went to or anything. You could probably find out if you really, really tried. But I'm not saying it happened to me definitely, but it didn't. So, but yeah. So this dude, I'm going to call him Raven. They fret. So I have a friend, really good friend. Now, I didn't know them at the time. So I didn't know this person, even when I was in uni with them. Which is really sad, because I've became a really close friend with them. One of my favourite human beings. I love them to pieces. They're one of my favourite human beings on Earth. But when the entire time we were at uni together, I never really said a word to them. Which, if I could change one major thing about Nearly said the place's name there, and I basically started saying it. If I could change one thing about my time there, one of the things I would change would be talking to them more beforehand. So I've never talked to them really in real life, but become really good cyber friends with them. But yeah, so someone they were a really nice person. It's just a fact. It's not even an opinion. It's a fact. They're great. So they're friends. They were like finishing their classes for the year soon, and so they were finishing their classes, and so they had friends, not me at the time, but now I'd be their friend. But they brought like donuts in. John knows the story. John's gonna be laughing because he knows what's happening here. They brought donuts in for their friends, and just to share with their friends, to be like, oh, it's a nice like a treat for them and their friends. A nice gesture, being like, oh look, here friends, I bought us a snack. A nice little thing you do for your friends, where you're like, oh guys, I bought us something. You know, it's a nice little small thing you do that's just for you and your friends. So did that, right? So they give out the donuts to their friends, and then Raven said, here, where's my donut? And they were like, yo, we're not friends. And they were like, then they you think that might be the end of it? Oh, yo, we're not friends, you know, because they're not friends. And so you think, you know what, bro, you know, it might be a little awkward saying we're not friends, but you know, that is a fact. And you can't just ask for something that someone's give. That's pretty screwed up to even ask. But ignore that, right? So then what happened next was the uni. This person was really good for the uni's image. So that's important to know. They then pulled out scissors, held it to my friend's throat, and said, "Where's my fucking donut?" And threatened my friend with fucking scissors to them and said, "Where's my donut?" and threatened them. Physically threatened them. Because this person wouldn't give them a donut. And threatened them because of that reason. And the uni did nothing with them. Because they helped the uni out. Because they won an award. So they helped the uni being there, was helping the uni. So the uni overlooked this actual crime they done. And so no repercussions really came from that, because he helped the uni out, because he won an award. The uni cared so much about looking better, looking good, that they did not care about this person threatening to damage and hurt someone to make them look better. Like, that is insane. There's a point where they're like, yes, what we look like and how we seem is more important than safety of people, is when you're nothing. John, I think it'll hold up in court. I've heard many defense lawyers win cases using the donut defense. Donut issues. Yeah, it's so fucking mental that happened. And like, at one point, like, so fears, I'm not sure, I don't think I've told you this, but this is I'm gonna give a little bit trigger warning for this one, because it might be something that people relate to a lot, but I've had me and John, but this is about me, this one. Jess John's like, oh, Jess, any stories about yourself personally you want to reveal now on the stream? It doesn't have to be too personal. I'm going to say it right now, that is not actually John, because this is a very personal story, and John would not have egged this on. This is me. I know I'm using John to plot the fight, and that's the joke I'm doing. This one, John has nothing to do with this story. He didn't ask for it, or he didn't say anything about it. Ego, selfishness, there's a reason why we fight about character who has these internal conflicts. Yes, John, you're exactly right. But yeah, no, I was joking there. I'm going to say this, though, that was the joke, was John told me, like, oh, any stories about yourself, but that's not true. Because I realised the story I'm going to tell is pretty damning. And John would not have be like, hey, Jess, share your trauma on the stream, please. So I'm just going to, no, this one was not actually, John didn't at all ask for the story or anything. So I was having mental breakdowns like every day for like 3 or 4 months at least. I was really struggling, like struggling so badly. So we're on like this set. There's documentary doing, and I had a breakdown, and I was like having a panic attack, and I was kind of crying, and so my friend comforted me during this panic attack, and so this person, we'll call them Flippeater. So Flippeater was in charge of behind the scenes photography, because they they're behind the scenes photography because they missed the first day of we were shooting stuff, they didn't even turn up for. Like, they just didn't show up to our first day of shoot. They turned up 2.5 hours late to the next shoot. They then they weren't able to find the location that we told them directly where it was for the third day shoot. And so the third day shoot they didn't show up for. They didn't turn up like 3 hours late for it, and didn't message us like 3 hours late asking where we were. Day 4, so they turned up at the wrong location because they were 3 hours late to the first location. You were away to the second location. We told them this as well. They then showed up too late to even help us, so we get them to jump behind the scenes camera person. So they didn't show up the first day and didn't tell us they weren't even going to be there. So we couldn't make them a position of power. We're importance, so couldn't really rely on them. So then I had this breakdown, and they then took a picture of it. And I was in charge of, like, basically, because one of us had to go back and, like, put the files and save the files onto Dropbox so we could access them later, because they wiped the memory cards. And so I was, like, saving the videos, and I was looking for his pictures because I was saving those too. I just saw a picture of me literally in mid-breakdown and a picture of it, that he decided, oh, this is a fair fucking idea, that I will take a picture of their breakdown. And you know what happened after he did that? He got a fucking extension. Because he took this picture, he got an extension on the unit of work. He got more extensions, yeah. Yeah, one for the gram. Yes, John, one for the gram. You got extension, one for the gram indeed, John, one indeed. That's an exchange moment right there, John. My noogler. So yeah, he got an extension. He got personal help, and he also got to use our film that he did not have any single part on for his own unit. In the end, he got held back by a year because he failed to even meet the extensions. Now I'm gonna tell this story. Yeah, she got an extended. Yep, he really should. You're right, John. She got an extended sentence. Oh, John, it's a different person, but you know, John, that joke was perfect. This is a different person story-wise, but you know, John, that is a perfect joke. Good job, Jonathan. Round of applause for John. John, John, just wrote, do you have any stories about plagiarism? Oh, John, what a good segment. This one's not going to be as dark, this one's more funny than any of the other ones we've been telling recently now, but, so this guy, we'll call him Roy. We'll call him Roy Liquorbath. Roy Liquorbath was a nice enough guy. But what happened was they were falling behind in IT, so they asked me, they didn't ask me. Got them mixed up. So for a second I was going to say that they asked me, but they didn't. So we were in the same IT class, right? And I went to the toilet. No, actually, no, I can tell the story better. So we were in an IT class together, and suddenly, out of nowhere, I needed to use the bathroom. And so I left the room, left my stuff in went to the bathroom for like 5 minutes, like 2 or 3 minutes or so, right? Left my stuff obviously in the main room that we were like working in, my IT room. Left all my stuff in there because why, when you're going to the bathroom, would you need to bring your stuff with you? You'd assume. Locked my computer just because, you know, so too many to lock your computer when you leave. Left my books, my memory pen, my stuff just in the room. So I assumed that's fine. Thought nothing of it. Didn't think that me going to the toilet would have any impact on my life then. And but 2 weeks later, yes, John, this probably is that person you're thinking of. So 100% probably that person. When I tell it more, you're gonna realize what it is immediately. But once the story gets a little further in, you'll realize who it is exactly. So I got called in 2 weeks later. To a meeting, and I was wondering what this is for, and they said, "Hey, Roy has stolen your plagiarized. Roy has stolen your work from IT and passed it off as their own." Now we know it wasn't the other way around because they didn't change. There's no words differences, and in some of the documents they forgot to remove your name from the presentations. Your name is still on some of the files that they've given as their own work. So we knew it was them copying you, not the other way around, because their name was on some of the files. And I was like, oh, so I thought in my head, oh, they're clearly in here they're clearly just trying to warn me here. They're clearly just trying to warn me that they knew there's pigeons happening, and I'm obviously not in trouble. And they're supposed to tell me that, oh, this has happened to let you know. Don't laugh comments because he remembers the story. But then what they said to me was, you ought to be more careful for your work next time. You could have got really. You're lucky you're not in trouble for this happening. You got to keep better care of your work, and this is on you as well. And I'm like, so no, then I literally said it loud. Someone stole from me, and it's on me. And he's like, yes, you shouldn't have let it happen. You shouldn't have left your stuff unprotected. This is on you. And we are friends, the person who stole from me. And I was told not to mention it, but I was like, they came up to me and said, hey, you might have heard what happened. I was like, yeah, and they're like, yeah, I'm sorry it happened. I'm sorry I did that. I'm like, oh no, it's fine. I'm a bit annoyed I got in trouble for it. And he's like, and I was like, it was a bit annoyed I got in trouble for it, but hopefully you didn't get too bad trouble. I said to him, because he's a nice enough guy. And he said, I didn't get in trouble actually. I got an extension, and they asked if I needed more help. So I was stolen from, and I was told off and told I'm lucky nothing worse is happening to me. And he got told, you need any more help? You're struggling. You need and then got an extension for every single one of the things. Got an extension for. So I got stolen from. My work was all stolen, and he got an extension for stealing from me and asked, is he doing okay? And you know, I don't know if I've told you this before, Dom, I think I have. You know what happened like after like that interaction happened? A week later, he asked me, can he have a copy of my can he have a copy of my files for IT so he can see how it's done and have something to work off so you can see what they look like. And I looked at Roy with blank eyes and said, you stole my work and I got in trouble. I'm not going to give you my files. And he said, please, you're being a bit of a douche, not giving me them. And I didn't know what to say. So I just put on headphones and pretended not to hear them. But yeah, they tried to then ask me for my files. Another great story. Yeah, 1 second. Can I have something to steal off? And look off. Can I have something to steal? To look off. Yes, John. Well, I'll tell you about now is because it's IT. Because the amount of years passed and it can never be proven this actually happened. So hypothetically speaking, me and my friend Rant and the leader all were in the same IT class, right? And we realised they're not. Not IT class. They have an IT. It happened in. It did happen. No, it happened in app building and coding. This was like a coop thing where it was like we're part of the GCSE basically. But in that, me, Peter, leader, it's fine that they won't mind the story being told. Because it's so many years later and they're not ashamed of it. Well, I'm not really ashamed of it, and neither is Rant. But yeah, so the three of us were all in the same class together, right? And we realised pretty quickly that there was going to be a lot of work to do for this. It was first making the app, and then you had to do all these documents around it. And we realised we are all not wanting to do this because we don't care about this. It's not even worth it. It's not worth it GCSE. It won't help you get back for A levels. No one's going to look at this and says, "Oh, you've got an enrichment course here. It's not worth anything. Oh, that'll get you a job. Great, you got this. I'm so happy you have this enrichment thing that is not useful for anything in life." So we're not going to put that much work into it. So we realised if each of us took a third of each of all tasks given, so you're given all the paperwork at once, and we're like, if all of us just did a third of the work, and then sent it to each other, we could all just rip each other off and plagiarise each other. So for that unit, each of us did a third of the work, then sent it to the others, who then reworded the work and changed the references a little bit. So basically, in that, we don't know how we didn't get caught in this. Not sure we didn't, but Rant did, and they told Rant that he was plagiarising us. His work out of his plagiarism, and he took the bullet and didn't rat us out. But yeah, so he got in trouble because a teacher hated him, passionately hated him, and so we did get away with it. He then just reworded his plagiarism a little bit more and sent it back in without doing any more work himself and got away with it, which was amazing. And so yeah, that happened, and yeah, To the point where they hated him so much that the three of us left school early together. Literally, we left at the same time, walked... No, we don't live in the same area, so we didn't walk them together, but walked at the same time, walked the same route out of the school, and left in the same direction. And, Gran... I keep trying to say their real names because I'm friends with these two and they're awesome humans. And what I'm telling is just stories of how great they are. They then got in trouble for ditching early and leaving early and got detention. When we all left at the same time and used the same excuse. And yeah, somehow they got in trouble and us two didn't, which is insane that happened. I'm going to tell one of John's favourite stories from school. I like to call this the storm out. So we were in media studies and we worked very hard for the entire year to get media studies done. And we were doing these posters. We had to like make magazines basically. I know you're crying. Jess and John, what's that got to do with media? How's that media studies when you're told it's going to be all about practical and making short films and making stuff? Why are we making magazine covers when that's not what you're interested in? Good question. We don't know. But we were making these magazine covers for some reason, which we still don't understand why that was what we were given, but we were. So we were sitting making these, and we were sitting working on these for months at this point. And it was a week before the deadlines, basically, and they had told us at that point that all of our work's gonna fail, and everything we've done's wrong, and you're not allowed to use the same person in more than one image. And because we're obviously all people who you have to use your original images, which we'd all already done, perfect things, who had to change every single thing, not a single image in his was original, but we were told a week before the deadline that, you know, you can't use the same person twice in any single like thing, any single like movie or TV show, fake articles you have in there, can't use the same person. Well, also, yes, they bloody can, because the same like 12 actors are in everything, so it's actually more realistic that one actor's in like 6 things in one magazine, that everyone be different. Do you mean, like, John, like, cause look at like how the media works now. Ryan Reynolds is in like 7 things at once. It's not realistic he'd be in 2 different TV shows near the same time, or a TV show and a movie, but yeah. Bullshit rules, but they told us this about a week beforehand, said, oh, we'll sit down and help you and all. So the teacher's like, oh, we'll happily stay behind to try and help you. And they kept changing them every time you thought you were finished. Yeah, every time you were like about like a day before you were finished, they changed the rules and added in a new arbitrary rule to make your work not work. But I was at this point, I was really fed up with the school, and I just said, no, screw this. Because I was told they'll give us feedback one by one. So I was there for 45 minutes waiting for feedback. And I was, at this point, I was like, you know what, I stayed for an extra 40 minutes. I'm not doing this today. And I just stood up and I walked out. And they started shouting, Jess, 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 trying to get me to come back. And to my friends' credit, they were all holding back intense laughter. Some of them weren't holding it back, but some of them were very good at holding back the laughter of this insane situation. I'd walked out, but I'd forgotten my memory pen. Well, if you've ever done any sort of anything where you need to do physical work and need to save it, you know how important the things you save stuff onto it becomes. Memory pen literally had all my work on it, backed up on it, and it wasn't in very many other places, so I really needed it. So I had to go back. So I was like, I can't leave it behind, I can't risk it. So I then walked back in to get the memory pen. Now at this point, everyone in the class sees me in the room after this amazing storm out, picking up my memory pen, and everyone's trying not to either say my name or bust out laughing. Sean somehow kept his laughter until I arrived back when I arrived back, and you can see John was snickering a little bit, but John was trying to keep it to himself and make sure it wasn't clear I was here. Then our friend Ince turned round and said, Jess, you're back! Loudly. The teachers flipped their head around, and I got that memory pen, so I was just about to turn around and leave again. But they were very smart at this point, where one of the teachers was also behind me, and so I was at the door and just came in at that exact moment, so I couldn't leave again. And so I was then forced to sit with them and talk to them for like 20 minutes, and then I got to go home anyway and told me to fix it tomorrow. But yeah, that was an insane time where I just walked out on them, because I was like, no, I'm done with this. And honestly, and people might be like, can't believe you've done that. John was there. John, I'm willing to bet you, John and everyone else who was there in the media class wanted to do the exact same thing I done. They all wanted to do what I done there. No one else did it, but everyone else would have wanted to. Because it was the right... I stand by what I done. I think it was the right thing to do. And I don't regret it. Even a little bit. I don't regret walking out on them. I do not regret leaving that class. I think it was the right decision. I think I couldn't have made a wiser choice than just walking out. John, yeah, 100%. You became a legend that day. Me and John have a friendship which, if you wrote it into a movie, would be very unrealistic for how it started. Because me and John were in a class together, media, where we didn't know each other, but all of everyone who around us knew each other. Like they were all friends with each other, and all knew each other. Like everyone else, literally everyone else in our group of like 6 who were on one side of the classroom, they all knew each other well, apart from me and John. How did me and John not meet that day? I still do not know how we somehow... We're literally in the same exact friendship group circles, but we didn't know each other. But it happened. So they left a random gap between between them, and they decided that me and John would sit in that gap. Why the hell did they leave a gap and throw these two strangers in the gap? I will never know why they done that. I will always be thankful it happened, or me and John probably wouldn't be friends till this day. Very glad it happened. Very glad that gap was stupidly left. But also, should not have been left. It did not make sense. There was a gap between these real friends. Yeah, John was just saying, yeah, we seem sort of friends, but we never met. I don't know how... Yeah, so I'm still thankful. I thank the Lord that they left this stupid gap between them, so me and John could become really good friends. But it did not make any sense for any reason that we were beside each other. These two random strangers were left beside each other. Does not make any sort of sense to why it would happen. But we all became friends, and we are... like, to the point where me and John would stay behind class most days, chatting to like 4 or 5. Just becoming like really close friends, watching movies, usually internship. Just watching stuff, becoming really close friends. We became really good friends, and we're still really good friends, just from the fact that someone forgot to put a seat beside someone. They stupidly decided they didn't want to sit beside each other for some reason, and left a gap between us, and no idea why it happened. Great it happened. So thankful it happened. Should not have happened. But John, comment below, how much do you think a penny would cost to make? Just a straight out penny. I'm just going to blab for time till you comment what you think it's going to cost. I'm very thankful, John. You have been a very useful and critical part of the stream, by the way, buddy. And I'm going to change the name of the stream, actually, because it's not even accurate anyway. I'll change the name of the stream, because the stream title is wrong. That's not even accurate, what the stream is even about. Okay, I've changed the title to Jess uses John as a plot device. So the title of the stream is now Jess uses John as a plot device, which, to be honest, that is 100% what the stream is. And it was weirder that it wasn't being called that. How much do you think a 1p coin costs to make? So yeah, change the name of the stream to... It should change soon. I'm not sure when it's going to update. It's updated now, but not on my phone, but it's updated. To Jess uses John as a plot device. But yeah, John, so the question is just how much do you think a penny would cost? Like, me and John are obsessed with this movie. You definitely know about this in streams and everything about me, because I talk about it all the time. We're both in this movie called Internship. We both think it's one of the greatest movies ever made. And we can 100% confirm that our friendship would still probably be acquaintances, but we wouldn't be friends to the level we're at. If it wasn't for this movie. John thinks it's going to cost a penny. It costs 2p per penny to make. It might sound like a weird sentence to say. Every penny that's created costs 2p to make. It's made out of zinc. And it costs what, £1? John thinks it would cost. No, the penny costs 1p to make. The penny costs 2p to make, each penny. So the penny, to make 1p, it costs us 2p. So for every penny that's made, it loses a penny. So any penny you're holding is worth less than its value by literally at 100%. The reason why it keeps happening is because the company who makes pennies, that is their main thing that they make, is pennies. And that's mostly what they do, is make pennies. That's it, that's what the company does for a living. And they've hired enough people in legislation who, their only job is to fight to keep pennies in circulation. Yeah, we're literally losing money making the money. There's no reason why they should still exist. They don't serve a purpose. They don't really serve any purpose. We don't need more of them. And no one actually uses them. It's actually estimated like 40% of all pennies are thrown away and lost. Anyway. And like most people don't accept pennies when given it as change. They like throw it in like cherry box or something, so they're not even used anyway. But like the people who make the penny, I don't know the company's name, but they fight in legislation. And they like literally hire people and pay politicians to fight to keep the penny alive, because that's how they make money. So the reason we still have the penny existing is because they pay people to get fired up and annoyed and go to events to rage about the penny so they can keep making it to make more and more money on it. Like, that's just an insane thing to think about. Each time a penny is made, its value is 100% less than what it's worth. Like, just imagine going in somewhere and being like, oh, I'm gonna make this product. How much does it cost? It costs 20 grand to make. What's the profit on it? 20p. Well, that's a great that's a great item. Like, that one's just insane. Like, it's insane to think about. But also, what's even more insane is, you know, the government is annoyed the post in America. The government's annoyed the post office, a public service, doesn't make money. Like, America wants to close the government wants to close the post office because it doesn't make them money. It's a public service. That's not its job. It's literally like the Twin Factory. So rivalry between the 1p and 2p makers. That is amazing, John. I would love to see that as a short or a film. Just the 1p and 2p makers. The Twix company. Yes, John. That is amazing. That is phenomenal. I love that. I love that idea. Yeah, but as I was saying, the government in America are annoyed that a public service, which was never designed to make money, the post office loses money. It doesn't make them profit. When it's literally not designed for that. Its entire job is to send letters back and forth. So they're trying to figure a way for a while for it to make money, and I'm like, there's no way in hell that company could ever and would ever make money. If you're interested in what I have to say, anyone, there's a lot of what I like know about life comes from this, like some stuff I'm talking about. Not all of it, but some of it comes from this thing called Some More News, which is like a news web show, which I think is really, really fun, really funny, really well done. Tells you about like real news in life and how like unbalanced kind of news stuff. It's really interesting to look into. But this is one that I haven't seen talk about much anywhere, and should be talked about more. So, John, what's your favorite cereal? Kellogg's. Well, I'm a fan of Kellogg's too, my friend. Very good cereal they make. What's your favorite cereal be in Kellogg's? Cocoa Pops? You know what, John? That's a classic cereal. A man after my own heart. I do love Cocoa Pops myself too. But do you know what happened to them right during lockdown? You know, John actually said it actually is one of his favourites. That is insane. That I'm just using John as a plot device, and I actually got his favorite cereals right. Is insane to think about, and I'm impressed that the universe lined up like that. Most of the time, because me and John are close enough, that most of the time I'm using him as a plot device here. He will comment he said one of his favourites, not his favourite. That's good, that's fair. But I love how most of what I'm just guessing of John as a plot device is actually true, because we're that close enough that I can just kind of guess. I kind of know how he thinks about a lot of stuff, so a lot of what I'm just guessing for John is just guesswork as well as just wanting to her plot device. But during the COVID, the workers were down and people needed like food and stuff. And so Kellogg's they were working 7 days a week. Employees were working 7 full days a week because they needed to. keep up the population needed for COVID, because they couldn't get any workers in. They were limited, and so people had to work. And during the heights of COVID, it wasn't necessity, and it was terrible. They were working 7 days a week, no breaks, but it was how it had to be for a little bit. Really, really sad and tragic was happening, but they didn't have a choice. But they kept them going for this for ages, and it was literally since the start of COVID, they had them working 7 days a week, to the point where there was a joke made by employees saying the machines that they used to make the cereal, I need a 3-day cooldown every 27 days, so the machines get more of a break than we do, the employees. It's just a sad joke which actually summed it up insanely well. So yeah, the employees went on strike, but I don't actually know how long ago, but went on strike. And obviously Kellogg's tried to keep this out of the press really well, and they did keep it out really well. They went on strike because they wanted to actually work not 12-hour days, no breaks, and working every single day. They didn't want us to keep working like this. So they strike to get their rights back. And so Kellogg's didn't want to give it to them. They brought in 1,000 workers to try and replace them, which, I will just say this, it's nowhere near enough, to the point where the strikers were actually laughing at this attempt to replace them, because it wasn't nowhere near enough people to actually do the job. But what's really, really funny to think about is Kellogg's, this major brand, removed its own name from the packaging of Pop-Tarts, because Pop-Tarts were going down, because everything Kellogg's made was going down in sales because of, treating people like machines. So like this, at least they get breakfast off. No, they did not, Sean. That would have been a good punchline for all of us to get breakfast off. They didn't actually, even sadly. So as I say, no, they removed their own brand name Kellogg's from Pop-Tarts. Their excuse for the press and that they gave to everyone was they removed their names. So people buy Pop-Tarts, they look for Pop-Tarts, not Kellogg's. So it's just better for branding, and it just looks better, and that's how people like to look at it anyway. So they're trying to argue that they took their own name off one of the most popular brands they make, because it was just better for branding for everyone. When really they took their name off because the sales were going down. They thought, if people don't think us, the heartless monsters, also important to say, the strike is done. They're finally getting back to normal. They've finally got back to normal now, which shouldn't have the strike to do so, but finally it's happened. It's great that, or I wouldn't be talking about it so callously right now. But yeah, they literally strike. They literally got them finally back to normal. But the reasoning in press was, so a major brand was getting so much bad press, and people didn't want to go to them, so they weren't eating off them and using their stuff, that they removed their own brand name from one of their most successful products, in the hopes people wouldn't realise they were associated with them. And that is just insane that happened. That a company was like, oh, people hate us so much and we're such douchebags that if we remove our name from the product we're making, people might actually buy it better. Kill knobs, John. You done it again. You done it again. How we're not paid to write satirical comedy, John, I will never know. So I've never seen anyone use the name Kel knobs in this scenario. So John, what did you eat for dinner today? Oh, vegetarian chicken and a little kebab. You made like a little kebab with vegetarian chicken. Very nice, John. Very nice. Personally, I had. Yes, John. It blows my mind too that services are not being acquired, and like literally how they're not being shut down for human rights abuse. I do not know either. But as you were, so yeah, I also love vegetarian versions of meat. Do you know how much it costs? Like, I don't know, global emissions for like global emissions, which means greenhouse gases and all that kind of stuff that really damages the planet. Do you know how much of those come from, I don't know, meat? The distribution of meat. 14.5% of all environmental damage we do comes from just making meat. 45% of that in total, of that 14% is just red meats. Like, if people just cut out red meat from their diet completely, everyone said as a team to cut out red meat, our global destruction of the planet would be down by 7%. Like, just put that in perspective. We would lose 7% of all of the damage we're doing to the environment if everyone cut out red meat and nothing else. People are like, oh no, we need to figure out how to stop global warming, like we need to figure out all these solutions. And one of the solutions just right there is just stop eating red meat. Like 7% of the damage we do is gone from red meat being taken out of everyone's diets. It's insane to think about. Just red meat. No other types of meat, just red meat. It's just insane to think about. Like, me and John didn't go vegetarian to cut out for the environmental reasons, to be honest. We did it more for animal cruelty. But also, 7% is just an insane total. But also, humans, you can tell, are really impactful for environmental damage from the fact that when we were in lockdown, stuck in our houses, the environment started getting better. Like, years of damage were eroding because of this. Yeah, because cows are one of the biggest causes of global warming. It's because of how much we breed them for slaughter, for parasites, other problems we need to sort out. Yes, I do agree, John. That is. But also, another problem we have is how electric cars do and do not work in our country, in every country in the world. A, they cost far too much to get. B, there's not enough there's not enough gas stations to have electric pumps in them for them to actually be useful. Like, there's like a lot of reasons why electric cars are not being mass produced, and it's also a lot bigger reasons is because of big oil companies and people who make non-electric cars fight against them being popular and problems with them and all stuff like that. But yeah, like that would also reduce a lot of our carbon footprints as well. But yeah, meat is one of the easiest ones we could do. Is just stop cooking cows. As John's saying, that would be one of the easiest ways to reduce our global impact. But also really pisses me off about every charity, like the big, you know, like those big charity appeals where it's like comic relief. Those ones is every celebrity in that room could fix every fucking problem they're trying to address with like Red Nose Day. A lot of those celebrities could fix the problems by themselves. But what's even worse than that is because they're not. A lot of them are like comedians who are like on like stand-up specials who aren't paid as high as you'd think they are, and some cynical actors aren't paid as high as you think they are. But a lot of them are paid extremely highly. But we'll look into one where it's easier to look into because there's no moral areas. There's no like maybe they aren't paid as much as we think they are. We will look at, I don't know, let's say, good idea, John. We should look into that. We'll look into Tolkien's house for the guy who created Lord of the Rings. So his house was going to get torn down, but they wanted to turn it into like a landmark and preserve it. So all the main stars of the Lord of the Rings and the director made a video about how we should, you know, if everyone donates, everyone should donate money to help protect this this national treasure and this monument, like one of the greatest literacy minds we've ever known, and one of most important books and one of the greatest books ever written. Which I do agree, Lord of the Rings is phenomenal, and The Hobbit's phenomenal. And this house shouldn't have been tore down. Sure for that. But they were like saying, if you all donate money and donate to the campaign to keep it alive, we can keep it being destroyed. And I was like, the 11 people in that photo could all afford to pay to keep his house open by themselves at least 100 times each. Like, that video was one of the biggest piss takes in the world. Was them being like, oh no, we need your help to keep this alive, keep like this house from being torn down. Well, you just fucking don't. Why don't you just any one person in that video decide to actually fucking give some money to it, and it would be fucking solved. Like, if anyone who's involved in Lord of the Rings main cast decided, I know, I will, I don't know, give some of my money to keep this house from being destroyed, it would still not have been a problem. Like, why the fuck did they go to the public being like, we need your help to solve this issue? The public, we need you all here. When they had the fucking money. Like, a lot of stuff like that really pisses me off. Like, there is a lot of stand-up specials where, like, there's a lot of stand-up things where it's like, some, like, stand-up comedians go on them. And while some are really rich, like, assholes. So some are assholes and some are rich. I'm not going to name which are which, but I'll say two of them. Asshole and rich. Bo Burnham and Ricky Gervais. One's an asshole, one's rich. I'm sorry. They're both rich, but one's an asshole. I'll let you guess who I think's which one. One's an asshole, one's not, but they're both rich and they both have a lot of money. So if they were doing like a stand-up thing where for comic relief, I'd be like, they both have enough money to solve half these problems by themselves while they're doing this. But yes, you starving, struggling family, save this house that you can never afford. John, that is too true. But like, say Matthew Biden, you know, he has actually a lot of money too, probably. I think of a celebrity right now, I thought in my head, I don't think he's rich. Not rich. Let's say James Acaster. He's probably rich enough, but let's say he's not. Let's say James Acaster has like just above the average wage or something like that. If he did a stand special thing where he did the comic relief special to make money for comic relief, you know, fair enough. He actually wouldn't be able to help that much if he wasn't that rich. I'm not sure if he is. But like Ricky Gervais and Bo Burnham, if they did a stand-up special with both of them in it, they're trying to help us out. I'd be like, no, fuck off. You guys could afford to help more than you're doing. Your time is also... So every time a celebrity does like sort of a charities thing, unless it's anonymous, it's a fucking stunt that it actually is proven to help them out more than it is to get back to the charity. Like, even a charitable donation of like 10 grand a celebrity does helps them more than it helps the charity. And I'm not going to look into the research, but you can actually look into it yourselves. It is proven that the biggest profiter of any like celebrity helping any charity special, donating money or donating time or anything like that, the biggest like profiter is the celebrity themselves. That they will make more from helping. They will make more money by helping than the charity will make by them helping. And that is not how it should ever have worked, but it really is. Like, I'm not sure what it would be, because I'm not a money expert, and I'm not like... I'll never claim to be, but there should be a total amount of money where once you've earned it, you can't get more. You know, like, you shouldn't be able to get into, like, be a billionaire. No one person should be allowed to be a billionaire, ever. Like, there should literally be an amount of money that you can earn up to. And when you get it, you stop earning money, because you don't need any more. And then you just don't earn money. Because there is a certain amount of money. There is, like, when someone has $1 billion, dollars, whatever you want to transfer it into, amount of money, and they still earn more, that is when you know we're fucked up as a society at some point. Like, I don't care how someone's work they earn, like $1 billion. They shouldn't have it. They shouldn't be allowed to get that much. Also, they should also be fucking taxed. Like, they should just be taxed properly for what they're fucking doing. Like, they shouldn't have a sneaky workaround where we're... Because there are literally celebrities that exist that we would pay more tax than they would. Like, someone who's on the poverty line and is living paycheck to paycheck could be paying more tax than fucking Bill Gates. Yeah, like there's even if you tried your very best, say you had 1 billion in the bank and you tried your very fucking hardest to spend all that money, it would take you a long ass time to even spend it all. Like, you would struggle to spend all your fucking money that you owned. Like, you would struggle to spend that all. I mean intensely struggle. Like, you would have to go out of your way so fucking hard to lose all that money. Like, you would be putting so much time and energy and effort into spending your fortune. I'm glad it's legit, John. Glad you were here. I love you, buddy. But honestly, I'm gonna go to sleep soon myself, to be honest. But yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad I helped you and calm you down a little bit, buddy. Glad you were here. Glad to use you as a plot device. And probably, I'll be honest, next time I need to use a plot device and you're not here, to be honest, I'll probably just use you anyway then, John. John, my plot device. My best buddy, my plot device. Just you always be my plot device. And then John, if you ever need a plot device, I'm always right here. Goodbye, everyone.